It's 9 a.m. on a Thursday morning, and that's when we have fun each and every week here on 94.9 and 99.1 The River. Well, we have fun 24/7 on this radio station, but we have a lot of fun this hour each and every week. It is time for the Our Town program. It is brought to you by Decorah Bank and Trust. And our guest this morning, we're going to talk about the recent housing study that has been completed, and now talking about action things to do regarding housing in the market in Waukon with Gary Boden, the city manager of Waukon. Coming up this weekend in Spillville is the Turkey River Music Festival. Roman Lansing will join us to discuss that event taking place on Friday and Saturday. Also Friday and Saturday, Rent's going to be put on by the Wolfpack Theater Group in Waukon. We'll talk to four young people discussing that presentation this weekend. And Mandy Halverson will be our first guest this morning. Mandy is the chamber director in Waukon. It's Corn Days this weekend. Time for a lot of fun, a lot of sales. You got the parade, you got the kids events, you got all sorts of things going on in Waukon. And Mandy will tell us all about him as we kick off Our Town. This is Our Town. It's brought to you by Decorah Bank and Trust, and you're listening to it on 94.9 and 99.1 The River. Corn Days are happening this weekend in Waukon, and the new chamber director, Mandy Halverson, here to talk about Corn Days. Always a fun time of year in Waukon. And Mandy, I think you've been on the job 3-4 months now. How is the new position treating you?
It's going great. Lots of housekeeping, getting caught up, and then moving forward.
And a lot of planning to go on this weekend, Friday and Saturday. Let's focus on the events coming up on Friday as a part of Corn Days. Tell us what's going on that day.
Okay. Yeah, Friday, we'll kick off in the morning. We're going to have Crazy Day sidewalk sales. We're doing it in conjunction with Iowa Tax-Free Weekend. So lots of deals, plus no tax, even better savings. Then we're going to move into the evening where we have our community meal from 4 to 8 p.m. So we're going to have hot dog hamburger bar, all you can eat sweet corn, watermelon. We also have Mexican street corn to try. And then we'll have a kids zone with bouncy houses and glitter tattoos, and live music playing from 5 to 7.
And where will the community appreciation meal and the kids zone be located?
Right. Okay. So we're going to close off the street right downtown Waukon from our stoplights down to Cunningham Hardware. That also includes the one-way West Street there right next to Waukon State Bank. So tables and chairs will be on Main Street. Serving line for meal will be down West Street. And then the kids zone will be located in Waukon State Bank parking lot.
And from what I understand, there's also a movie that night. Is that correct?
Yes, we're going to try anyways. It's hard to predict when it's actually going to be dark enough to play a movie, but we're hoping right at dusk, about 8:45, right in Waukon State Bank's parking lot. So bring lawn chairs or blankets, and we're going to have free popcorn available as well.
All right, and a lot of things going on Friday, but the fun starts bright and early on Saturday morning. Run down some of the events that will take place Saturday.
Yes, so our Crazy Day sales will then continue Saturday morning. Local retailers will still have their sidewalk sales with Iowa Sales Tax-Free Weekend. And then we've also brought in some outside vendors. We call them Northeast Iowa makers. So they're more handmade goods as well. So they'll actually be on the sidewalk too. So lots of other things to shop and pick up. And then we have a Corn Days parade, which lineup will start at 9 o'clock in the morning up at the Waukon Fairgrounds, with the parade starting at 9:30. And it'll go right down through the stoplights and end at the Waukon Banquet Center.
And WW Homestead Dairy with their car show that day as well, correct?
Yes. So the car show Everything kind of slightly overlaps, so you'll be able to hit everything. The car show registration starts at 9 as well to 11, and then they'll do their show and hand out awards at about 1 p.m. I think they said. So that's nice. You can watch the parade, go up to WW, see all the nice cars. But if you not into that and you want to play softball, we also have a co-ed softball tournament happening.
And you mentioned the retailers and the sidewalk sales going on this weekend. So many events going on in Waukon. How big of an opportunity is this for the retail community to take advantage of the Iowa sales tax free weekend and have a lot of entertainment in town at the same time?
Yeah, we're hoping that it draws a lot of people downtown and to start kicking off like their back to school shopping as well. So we want to utilize everybody that we have here, starting no tax, and then gearing up for fall weather.
Anything else you want to pass on regarding Corn Days this weekend, or anything else from the Waukon Chamber perspective, as long as you got the forum this morning?
Nothing off the top of my head, but we always do appreciate all the community members that come out and help, because you can't run an event by yourself. So it takes lots of volunteers. It takes the community to really get involved to make events happen. So we like to see everybody come out, and we thank everybody that helps along the way.
And I'll let you give one final invitation to come out to Corn Days this weekend.
Yes, everybody, Friday night, come down Main Street, 4 to 8, grab something to eat, bring the kids, bring your neighbor, go back home, and then come back down Saturday morning, enjoy the parade and sidewalk sales and everything that downtown Waukon has to offer.
All right, Mandy, we appreciate you taking some time to talk about Corn Days and everything else going on in the community of Waukon. Always a fun weekend, always a busy time of year, and we thank you for taking a few moments during a busy week to help promote the fun events going on this weekend. Enjoy the weekend. Yes, thanks for having me. Mandy Halverson with the Waukon Chamber. Corn Day is coming up this Friday and Saturday. Coming up this weekend, the Wolfpack Theater Company is presenting Rent at the Town Theater in Waukon. And for the performers joining us with us, Abby Shellhorn, Audrey Ruff, Caleb Perkins, and Brendan Jones. And I know you guys have been working at this for quite some time. Abby, how long have you guys been working on putting together this presentation that you will put out to the public this weekend?
So these two have been working for 4 months. I've been with the production for about 3 weeks, and Brendan has been here for about a week or so.
Yeah, I hopped in to help him last minute, part of a Wolfpack team. So, I figured I'd come and help him out like I do in other performances.
All right, we'll go next in line with you, Audrey. Audrey, tell us how you guys went about selecting Rent to be the presentation that you're putting on.
So Rent, especially in the part of Iowa that we are in, is a little bit different than what people around here are used to seeing. It's a lot more progressive. It has some themes that people are sometimes afraid to look at. So we are really encouraging people to come here and to understand that this show isn't as scary as some people think it is. It's really fun, and I think people will have a great time. And it's been really fun practicing and rehearsing for it.
And Caleb, how long, we talked about how long you guys have been putting together this show. What are the times in the performances this weekend? Come on, Adam, you don't need to be doing that behind you.
Get out of here.
Exactly. Let's let the performers get the show. Talk about the performances this weekend coming up, Caleb.
So our performances are on this Friday and Saturday, and they'll be at 8 o'clock at the Town Theater.
All right, let's go with your guys' specific role in this performances. Let's start with you, Abby.
So I play Mimi Marquez, so I am one of the 2 leads.
Audrey?
I play Maureen Johnson, and she's pretty cool, very, very vocal and loud.
Caleb?
I play Roger, the second lead, and Roger's more of a loner character. He likes to keep to himself most of the time, and this story challenges him to step out of his comfort zone.
And Brendan, you mentioned You kind of touched on your role, but remind us of it because I have a short memory and I'm not that smart.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm a jack of all trades. I'm a dad, I'm a drug dealer, and I'm a homicide. So I like giving out that smack, that crack, that horse, and that X. And I do it on the daily for that cash.
That's a versatile role. Are you that, without specifically going into those roles, are you that versatile in real life there, Brendan?
Yeah.
So,
Say that again, please.
are you that without going specifically into all those roles, are you a versatile guy in real life?
Not really. No, I like to be good in real life, but sometimes you got to cut loose.
And sometimes you got to get out of your comfort zone. Yes, tell us, and I'll let you guys all respond to this one. What is it about the Wolfpack Theater Company that makes it a fun group to be a part of? We'll start with you, Abby.
So I'm actually one of the newest members of Wolfpack. I would say that since the first day that I've been here, I've been very well respected. And it seems more of a family than anything else, I would say. And that's kind of what drew me in a little bit.
Audrey?
I am also relatively new. I just joined less than a year ago, and it's been really fun. I've made lots of friends, and I get respected, and there's no judgment here at all, which is really nice.
And Caleb?
I am actually the oldest member in the Wolfpack. I was there when it started. And back when just 5 guys was hanging around, and now we were here when we started this whole Wolfpack production. And I gotta say, I've loved it every second we've been doing it. Because it's just all about people having fun, doing stuff that they love, and just expressing themselves in very fun ways.
And Brendan, what's the most fun part about Wolfpack for you?
So getting to come here after school and after work and hanging out with a great group of guys and gals and getting to put my talents and their talents to use collectively as a group, trying to do something for the community is just great. Like they said, there's no judgment here. It's just so much fun to hang out with them, have a good laugh, and just see what everybody can bring to the table.
Abby, how many people are involved in this entire production? We've got 4 of the folks here tonight, but how many total people are involved in this production? Didn't mean to stump you, sorry.
15.
All right.
15.
And Audrey, you touched on this is a little bit different of a play than you see in our part of the woods. Tell us why people should come and why people should maybe get out of their what people expect to see this coming weekend.
So this coming weekend, there is definitely going to be some out of the box comfort zones. There's lots of themes of love and heart, but it's really just touching on how a community of people who are seen as misfits can come together and live their life, especially in a time when things aren't all celebrated like they should be. But it's a really fun show. There's lots of really good songs and pieces, and people, I hope, will be touched by the theme and the show itself. And
Caleb, how can people get tickets this weekend?
So question, Adam, how can they get that? Wolfpack.ludus.com. Wolfpack.ludus.com. And they're free.
And it's free will donation.
And a free will donation. Wow. And Brendan, I guess anything to add on your end of things? Anything that we haven't covered yet that I'm full of my notebook, but I'm sure you guys are creative enough to give me a great response here. And I've known you for 2 minutes, Brendan, and you're going to give me one. No pressure.
Oh, absolutely. So I just want to say how great our director, Adam, is. We just got to touch on that. How great this guy right here is. He is always there for us. He is always doing things for us.
You guys should add enough. Just buy your ticket or reserve your seats. They're free will donation. We need people. These kids deserve an audience.
Hey, don't listen to him. He's a good guy.
Well,
there is food and drinks that can be bought at the concessions area. So if people want to come, it's more of like a dinner theater, I would say, but
Okay.
we need a full crowd to make it awesome.
All right. One final question for all of you. I'm going to give each of you about a 30-second commercial on why people should come see the presentation this weekend. Abby, we'll start with you. Commercial coming in 3, 2, 1.
What do I need to say?
This weekend, come to Rent at the Town Theater. It's full of fun, heart, and it'll be a very fun show for everybody to come. We got food, we got nachos, we got popcorn. You have a great time while you're here, and watch a bunch of people have fun on stage.
It's gonna be a touching performance.
That.
Yeah.
That's it.
All righty. We didn't hear from Audrey. Anything to add on your end of things?
I just think that people should come because it's definitely something out of the box, and I think people will really learn from it, and it'll be really fun.
All right. Does Adam want to add anything in the back there?
Adam, do you want to have your moment?
Big moment. No, I'm good. The kids are awesome. It's super fun. Join us for every show. We got Rent coming up, Guys and Else coming up in fall, but we need these kids deserve an audience. So please come to our show, Rent, this Friday and Saturday.
All right. Great group of people to chat with. Abby Shellhorn, Audrey Ruff, Caleb Perkins, Brendan Jones, and Adam Hooten, the director of the Wolfpack Theater Group. We appreciate you guys taking some time before rehearsal here tonight. Go out and break a leg this weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wolfpack Theater Group presenting Rent this weekend. It's coming up 8 o'clock Friday night and Saturday night at the Town Theater in Waukon. Coming up this weekend, the Turkey River Music Festival in Spillville. And here to chat about that event is Roman Lansing, who comes to us from the stage where a lot of the performers will be performing this weekend. Roman, first of all, how long has this festival been going and how fun is it to put together?
Well, this would be our 6th year technically as far as organizing it, our 5th year of actually having the performance with COVID. It's a lot of fun to put together, a lot of work though. Just getting the bands lined up and all the other aspects of the whole fest, which anybody that does something like that, that's community involved, knows exactly how it goes, but it's well worth it. And thank God you have people that volunteer and help you out along the way. So.
And later on, we'll give you a chance to thank some of those folks, but let's focus on the entertainment this weekend. Events coming up on Friday and Saturday. Let's focus on Friday first.
Yeah, so Friday, well, I always started my musical career in a heavy metal band, and there's not too many options for bands that play that sort of genre of music. So we kind of have heavy metal and hard rock emphasized on Friday night. We've got 8 bands, Embalming the Goddess, Phoenix Curse, Rig Time, Dark Agenda, Guilty of Treason, Bleed Chain, Gravecore, and Jim Jones. They vary on levels of heaviness, I guess I would say. Some would play, I know Gravecore, they do an amazing cover of Alice Cooper, School's Out for Summer. And then all the bands are amazingly talented musicians and some of the friendliest people you'll probably ever meet if you just meet them for the first time. So.
And let's focus on Saturday. Who's all going to be performing on Saturday? Saturday, our gates open at noon. Show will start at 1 p.m. Couldn't imagine a better way to start a show than with Joe and Vicky Price, local legends, and everybody just enjoys the hell out of seeing them perform. They're followed by Cedar County Cobras. Again, Joe and Vicky will be starting the show out at 1 o'clock. Every band's playing for an hour aside from the headliner, but Joe and Vicky are followed by Cedar County Cobras, Riff and the Heist, which is kind of a Dooms blues metal / outlaw country band. They play pretty much everything. Then Casey Klein, the one-man jam machine, local band EF5, local favorites, couple of them from Spillville here. Then we got Noah and the Hitchhikers, Stone Crow, High Five Sinners are returning from last year. Then we got Ace Monroe, who is traveling on the tour with Tyler Bryant and the Shakedown, who is our headliner. Wow.
Tyler Bryant and the Shakedown, they are out of Nashville. They play kind of bluesy rock. They've opened with some pretty heavy hitters, including Jeff Beck, ZZ Top, AC/DC. Wow. I think they opened for Guns N' Roses and Lynyrd Skynyrd on some tours or shows. And Tyler Bryant, I mean, people that know him know he's a phenomenal musician, but it goes for the whole band. I believe that the guitarist, and aside from Tyler, is actually his name's Graham Whitford. I believe he is the son of Aerosmith's guitar player Brad Whitford. So talent runs in the family there. So yeah, it's going to be an amazing show, and I can't wait for it to happen.
And folks that are interested in coming on down to Spillville this weekend, how can they purchase tickets?
So we don't have online purchasing. We've entertained the idea, but we've kind of stayed old school a little bit, which we don't really have too much of a worry of selling out. You've probably been down here for the 4th of July. If I get a crowd like that ever, I would be very, very, very happy with that. So we know that this park can hold a vast amount of people. So tickets will be available at the gate. Single day is $20. The 2-day event is $30 if you want to come for both days. We are fully booked on our reservable camping spots, which have electrical. You can still, I believe, reserve a tent spot, but if you reserve a tent spot, it's basically choose your spot when you get here, or you can still pull in and it's $10 per night per tent, and you just pay at the gate for that. Find the best spot that isn't already taken and pitch tent. Basically, I have had a few people ask about campers. Of course, if you bring that down, it's going to be that same charge, and you won't have electrical, and it'll be pending room. But again, I think we'll have plenty of room for anybody that wants to go down that avenue. So,
well, you think about a 2-day pass, that's less than $2 per band, according to my Norwegian math. You're not going to find a better deal than that, are you?
No, my check math is about the same. I think we're under $2 the same, but yeah, no, for 18 bands at $30, I don't think you can really beat it. Even if you come for a single day, whether it be Friday or Saturday, you get 8 bands or 10 bands for $20. Tyler Bryan, the Shakedown, they're doing a tour right now. The 2 shows, I believe, before us are Omaha and I can't remember the other one before on. They're coming from Omaha the night before. It's just, I had this last year, and unfortunately the headliner had to cancel due to an illness. But it really feels cool seeing Spillville listed with some major metropolitan areas, not only in the state of Iowa, but nationwide. We're the only show they're playing in Iowa. So it's kind of an honor to be able to be on that list, knowing that we have about a 300-person town. It's just kind of cool to see that.
Well, it's more than kind of cool. It is really cool. Anything we're missing, Roman? Anything else you want to pass on about this weekend?
I guess as far as this weekend goes, I just hope people come down. The weather's looking pretty decent. Again, if we don't have if it rains or if the weather turns bad for us, we do have the historic Inwood Ballroom to fall back on as a backup venue. So no matter what you're planning, if you're worried about weather, just know that we will have the show regardless, inside or outside, hoping on Ludwig Stage here in Riverside Park. We will have 2 food trucks here on Saturday, 1 food truck on Friday. They are Lily's Taco Trunk and Boyd Bartholomew Bar's food trailer. I think it's just called Boyd's Food Truck. Then we will have some vendors. We'll have raffle games. Mark Bollock is even kind enough to bring down the old circus style hammer bell game that he added at the 4th. It was a big hit. So we'll have that down here. Bonfires. It'll be a damn good time. I guess if I can give a shout out, keep in mind too that we do have AV Grow's band coming down here August 25th. They'll be playing on Friday night from 7:30 to 10:30. That'll be on this stage. Again, we will use the Inwood if we need to. And that's a free will donation show, kind of their West Coast kickoff tour, at least their kickoff from their local area.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be a great show. And then we also have another show on September 23rd that we just recently scheduled, haven't announced yet. That'll be inside the Inwood with 3 bands, Punch Kick Love, Gus Royale, and 404. That'll also be a free will donation show. So plenty of entertainment down here for very little money. If anybody's interested in coming down, we'd more than love to have you.
And who are some of the people that help you out to help make this event happen?
Oh God. The Civic Improvement Association, which I'm a member on that board. All of them have been colossal helps. So basically the Inwood Civic Board, the city of Spillville, Fred Phillips, the city man, well, him, I, and everyone else that was involved in building that stage. Fred built this shelter. Now we have a fairly decent sized shelter to escape the sun if you can't find a tree. So all the volunteers, the people that help with hanging posters, from doing the gates, doing the games, anything like that. The sponsors, which that list is too long to name. We got sponsors from local towns all around us, and without them, this would have never started and it would never persist. So.
Well, and when you get to year 6 of a festival, you're obviously doing a few things right. Sounds like a great time in Spillville this weekend, Roman. We appreciate you taking the time. Best of luck to you with everything going on in Spillville this weekend. Have a great time.
Yeah, thanks, Darren. I got to give you a shout out, though. I just saw Shirley Vernace. She was at the city council meeting, and she said that I should tell you that she said she'll see you in the mosh pit on Friday.
Okay. I don't know if that's a threat or a promise, but nonetheless, always good to have your name.
But she said to say hi.
Oh, you bet. You bet. We worked together back in the old KDC days, and no such thing as bad publicity. We'll put it that way. So
exactly.
So Roman Lansing from the Turkey River Music Festival, Friday and Saturday in Spillville. Having a conversation this morning with Waukon City Manager Gary Boden, and I know we've had these conversations and touched on the subject in the past, and we're going to get a little bit more in-depth in the study of housing in Waukon. And Gary, before we focus on the meeting that was held recently and maybe some of the results of that study that was put forth, let's go back to the beginning of this study. What was the reason the city wanted to look into this particular issue?
Well, probably about, it's been more than 24 months ago, Val Ranke and I, Val from Alameda County Economic Development and Tourism, went and visited with the major employers in our city. And we were told, and this is pre-COVID times in many respects, we were told that these places, a lot of them would be willing to expand their employment if in fact they had a place for people to live. When I came here almost 4 years ago now, my wife and I looked at to buy a house. We had a very broad price range. We went from 150,000 to 250,000, and back then that was a pretty broad price range. And I had a residency requirement, so I had to live in Waukon, and it turned out that I had one house to buy. I bought the house, but the fact is that the housing market was tight then, and that was for single family. The more that we looked at this issue, as far as not personally, but professionally, we found out that there really isn't much housing at all around here. So as the time went on, we went and tried to find a ground that was developable, that had opportunity. And it turned out to be what has been known as the Bresnahan property. We bought that big farm that we did a lot of stormwater detention in, just from back in the day when we had the floods in about 2013, 2014. We bought that ground to do a lot of stormwater retention, but some of that ground was also developable. And we made some plans to do that, but that wasn't enough. And as time went on, it became very apparent that we don't have not just single family sites or starter family sites. When we were trying to do the Bresnahan ground with duplexes, we don't even have apartments. And realistically, that was probably about the time when we started to realize that we probably needed to have a housing study to determine our marketability. And while that was going on, the McCabe farm came up for sale because the next generation of the McCabe family did not want to retain the farm. And the McCabe farm was in the city limits on the south side of town. And we got into a relationship with Steve Platson. And Steve Platson and the city got together and said, look, if you buy the 32 acres that was what he bought, which was up for auction, then the city would get involved with the development of that property. But that also included the idea that we would retain a big site for an apartment complex development. So we put a tax increment financing package together. We also used about $750,000 of SRF grant funding to do the stormwater detention there. And as a result, what we have now is effectively a 5-acre shovel-ready site that we think can accommodate as much as 72 units of apartments. So we were doing that. We were being cognizant of what we needed to do as far as our need is concerned, but we didn't have enough data to support it. We knew that there was a need for it, but we had to demonstrate the reason for the housing. The housing study would demonstrate the true need. And as a result, we did this housing study, and it gives us more of a marketing tool, if you will, to show the need. And simultaneously, it started to look at what we can afford and how it can be afforded from the standpoint of who could build it and for how much. So this housing study evolved simultaneously with our recognition of need. And as a result, that's where we're at today. The study is effectively completed, and we're communicating that not just to the local community, but also to developers.
Did the study pretty much determine what you thought to begin with, and just added some data points that made what you're doing, gave reasons to what you were doing, I guess would be the way to put it? Or did you find out some things that you didn't know or didn't think going into the study?
I don't think there was any big surprises here. I mean, certainly you don't want to go into the field of dreams idea, build it and they'll come. At the same time, we knew that there was pressure here. You come to this town, you feel it. You can feel it. You can see it by the fact that housing here in this town is incredibly tight. Houses that are on the market right now, as far as single family, they're on the market for a week, if they even hit the market. There's one anecdote that I repeat quite frequently, and that is that we have an employee that owns about, I think, 3 rental houses or something like that. And one of his long-term tenants left, and he had a place to lease. He put it on his Facebook page on a Sunday, and by Thursday he had 76 hits.
Wow.
That anecdote doesn't surprise me. On the other hand, it confirms why we needed to do this housing and make commitment. The problem that we have right now is that I think we had some developers that were really interested. They still are interested. But when the COVID hit, and when the prices of construction materials went up, and in particular, in this case, these bigger players have a better control over their materials costs, but the interest rates went up dramatically, really, over a period of about 18 months. And a project that would have numbered out 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, doesn't number out now. And the specifics of this is that we know that wages went up around here too. But for somebody to make $18, $19, $20 an hour in a factory job could afford approximately $1,000 of rent for a 2-bedroom apartment. Where the gap is right now, and this is what's been reported at this meeting, the gap is right now is to make a rent for, someone who's in the workforce, they need about $1,200 a month, and they can't support that. They can support maybe $1,000. Now that assumes, for instance, there's only one income going into that particular unit. If you had 2 wage earners, even on a very part-time basis, you could afford it. But the fact is that right now we're trying to figure out how to close that gap between $1,000 and $1,200 a month as far as rent is concerned. And that was a lot of the discussion that we had in a lot of different contexts about this meeting that we had a few weeks ago, which is really to discuss where we're at today and why we are still trying to figure out how to make these things happen. We had 2 of our more significant interested developers attend that meeting. One of them was actually on our panel discussion, and they're very interested. They just can't make it number out for them right now. And integral to all of this is the utilization of a workforce development grant. And that grant, hold on a second here. That grant comes from the Iowa Economic Development Association. And IEDA has set up the requirements and the processes, and we've been trying to work with developers to utilize that grant. But if that grant were to come through, they would pull down about 1/3 of the cost of the development of an apartment complex. Now that's a big amount of money, but even with that grant, we still got that $200 a month gap, and that's kind of where we're at right now. We think that, you know, with the prices of materials coming down, that'll help a little bit, but frankly, these bigger players, you know, we're talking with people in the Cedar Rapids, Marion area, as well as Dubuque. They have better control because of economy of scale over their material costs, but their financing costs is where it's really an issue. And, you know, we're trying to figure out ways to make it happen, inclusive of local banks and all that. Maybe they can help try to pull the number down a little bit. But that is where we're at. And we had this meeting, amongst other things, to demonstrate what it takes to make it happen and try to put it out to everybody, say, okay, how can we make it happen?
As of right now, when you talk about the action mode in trying to improve the situation with housing in Waukon, you've touched on factors that you can't control, the outside factors such as interest rates, the outside factors such as material cost. What can you control at this point?
Well, we have a 5-acre site, shovel ready. We have developed the water, the sewer, the street, the storm sewer, and we own the land. What we can do to control that is to actually give the property away. We're trying to save as much on the front end costs of the developer as possible. We're incentivizing all this through tax increment financing. But the fact of the matter is that that's not been enough. That's what we control. We're not trying to make any money off of this. We're trying to incite the development itself. And those infrastructure costs that's no small potatoes there. That's a lot of money. We got, combined with that grant plus our TIF commitment, we got $3.25 million invested in this. Now we know that there's payback already occurring. We've got the Dollar Tree Family Dollar store in there. We know that Steve Platson's going to move his car dealership and expand it dramatically from where he's at right now. So we know that there is development occurring as a result of some of our incentivization. There is more opportunity for commercial development out there, as well as more opportunity for residential development just to the north of us. And in doing so, the property to the west of 2nd Street Southwest, across the street from our property, for instance, is being set up for single family development. So we have to look at this not just in the short term, but in the long play. And this street that we've developed, 8th Avenue Southwest, plus a little bit of West Street going down to T-Bone into that street, is really giving us a roadmap, if you will, pardon the pun, to get more development set up for the future. And we hadn't had that before. This subdivision that we're doing right now is the first of any consequence that has been done in 30 years.
And when you look at a situation like that, when you put the infrastructure in so future development can happen? Is that kind of the ultimate chicken and the egg situation? Without that infrastructure, nothing was going to happen. Is that the reason why you make the investment on the front side?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing about it is that if you look at Waukon and you talk with people in Waukon, there's a lot of pent up energy here. I mean, when I came to town and, looked around here 4 years ago, I go, man, it feels like there needs to be a breakout, but nobody was capitalized enough locally to make this happen. The other thing about this is that if you think about this commercial expansion that is part of this development that is occurring, and I know we're getting off of housing a little bit, but it's all interrelated. Look at our downtown. It's pretty much filled up. There is, if you will, development pressure for more commercial, and we can't find it in downtown. There's no place for it. So if you look at it, the market pressure that we have is obvious. You go on that 8th Avenue Southwest corridor, it gets you over to 2nd Street, which is just a hop, skip, and a jump from the newer commercial development that we have along 11th Avenue Southwest. It's within sight of our apartment complex site. And to be honest with you, there's a lot of advantages for the housing of that development because it's right adjacent to the park. And there's a great amenity for, starting out families or small families in apartments to have the access to the park in easy walking distance.
And you mentioned also the upfront investment the city has made in trying to solve this issue. When is a fair time to judge whether that investment has been worth it? Will you and I still be in our current positions when we can make that fair judgment down the road?
Well, again, as I said before, we're going to see some payback occur in a very short period of time. We are not really impacting our tax taking from our TIF district in any significant way. We're going to have a pretty level debt service debt. In fact, we did a little bit of shifting this past year because we're accelerating the payback. In fact, by the end of next fiscal year, fiscal 25, 25% of this subdivision will already be paid for through TIF. We took out the notes for 12 years and we are actually paying the first 2 years in one, the first year. So the payoff will, from as far as the expenditures are concerned, will be fine because our TIF district effectively covers all the areas that we've designated for TIF throughout the entire city. And we have that tax base to draw upon to make that happen. Really, our limitation on using TIF is not based upon how big their district is or how much increment that we have, which goes back to the 1980s. Our limitation is how much money we can borrow legally through the GO process. That being said, as I said before, the long play on this is not just this subdivision, but what this could spur for additional development into the future, particularly single family also. And I think that at least we now have a place for that development to occur. We'll not completely have it paid off in 5 years. There's no question about that. Again, this is a longer play, but it also creates an opportunity for people to try and see and develop ideas for development in the future. We've done one single family subdivision here that's, in fact, there's only one lot left, Park Place, which is not far from this area. And that was started about 12, 13 years ago. It took a long time to fill up, and it was for single family houses, which now are probably going for $275,000, $300,000 a copy for effectively almost a starter home, but probably a little better than that. We do not have any place else to go. And as a result, I think the development here is going to at least incite some of that kind of development also. The other thing that we've done, or we're evolving into, is that we're not going to be in the business of selling lots. We don't want to do that. We'll let the private sector sell the lots. But what we will do is incentivize development by helping with the cost of the infrastructure, as we've done with the Platson situation. other than having that 5 acres that we're trying to truly target for apartment complex development, the rest of that ground is privately owned and going to be privately developed and privately the private sector is going to take that initiative, mainly because we put the streets, the water, and the sewer in the ground to begin.
I know a lot of our conversation is focused on increasing the stock available for whether it be apartments, whether it be single family residential, etc. Obviously, the issue of affordability is there as well. Is there anything in this program that can make sure that folks can afford to move into these homes once they are built?
As far as apartments is concerned, which is probably the higher priority right now, I think that there is some discussions going on in our community to see what they can do to buy down the costs a little bit. Maybe lower interest rates than what would be considered the market rate, if in fact we could put that together. That's an outcome of this conversation. There may very well be people that in a minority position want to make an investment and not looking at an ROI of 6 or 7%, but maybe a little bit less. I don't know. But I mean, the point being is everybody kind of has an understanding what the numbers are, inclusive of people that weren't meeting, but certainly know what was going on. As far as affordability for single family housing is concerned, that's a harder situation to deal with. And in fact, you know, one of the things that I've been saying all along, and we have been saying all along, is that our market is not the city of Waukon. Our market is 20, 30 miles around at least. And let me tell you, there's a whole lot of people in Decorah that knows what's going on here. And they all are watching it like a hawk because they know that they could probably get something a little bit cheaper over here. And it's not because of the construction quality, but rather it's cheaper to build here as far as the infrastructure is concerned, because those poor folks in Decorah, they got to climb up out of the crater to build. And ours is really effectively flat ground.
When you look at what you guys are doing right now, short-term and long-term, as a way to ramp up this interview, when it comes to city action at this point, what's the next thing on the to-do list here in the short term to make sure everything here keeps moving in the right direction?
Well, I think what's evolved here is so far as far as what has happened with 8th Avenue Southwest. That was kind of a no-brainer from the standpoint of, yeah, here's what we need to do and here's what's going to happen, because it's relatively a consolidated area for which has to happen. But from here going forward, some of the things that I've been involved with is just to talk about the planning for future development. Even in the context of 8th Avenue Southwest, we had to deal with, you know, how to deal with the stormwater management and how to deal with the sewers and the water systems and all that. What people don't realize is you can't look at a map and say two-dimensionally, this is where we're going to put all this stuff and make it happen. You have to look at development three-dimensionally, which includes what's underground and how the topography is and where would you route storm sewers and stuff like that. I think the real question here for folks is what is our plan? And I'm having discussions with property owners and looking at not a complete overhaul of the comprehensive plan, but certainly in a site area specific as to how do we envision the development of the city in the future. Now, admittedly, some of these plans might be 20 or 30 years out, but we have to look at it from a standpoint of where we see our costs as far as development is concerned in the future, and what is the most cost-effective way of doing it. And I think that that's probably the next thing that we're really going to focus on, as well as, you know, if developers come forward to us, you know, we want to do something, then certainly we'll do that. But we'll do it with an understanding in mind that here's the best ground to be developed and here's how much it might cost.
And I know our conversation is primarily focused on housing here this morning. Anything else you want to pass on from the city's perspective, as long as you got the forum?
Well, I know that this is cross media, but we're being we're receiving all kinds of KCRG, our
yeah.
town notoriety this week, and that's really good for the community. I think realistically, this is just an example. The KCRG thing is just another example of the buzz that's going on here. That's certainly going past the city limits, going past the county lines, going out to Northeast Iowa, and we're feeling good about ourselves, and there's a reason for it, and other people are now starting to understand it. I think that's a big deal for us.
No doubt about it. Any attention you can get outside the area that brings people to Waukon is a good thing. We try to give you as much.
Brings developers to Waukon too. Yeah,
it definitely, and we try to give you as much as we can here on a local level. Gary, always appreciate you taking some time to tell us about what's going on in Waukon. Obviously, this is a multi-layered conversation. That's why I appreciate having these long-form conversations, because 30-second news story really doesn't explain this issue as well as a long conversation can. We appreciate you taking the time, Gary, and look forward to talking to you in the near future.
Sure that the city of Waukon appreciates it too.
All right. Gary Boden, he is the city manager of Waukon. We appreciate him taking the time to join us here on Our Town. A thank you to our guest on the program, Mandy Halverson, the Waukon Chamber Director. Corn Day is the next couple of days. Of course, the big parade coming up on Saturday at 9:30. Events going on all throughout the weekend. And don't forget the sales tax free weekend coming up this weekend. Support those downtown businesses. They're the people that support you, and great opportunity to do so this weekend. Wolfpack Theater Group putting on Rent next couple of nights, Friday night and Saturday night. We thank those folks for joining us. Turkey River Music Festival going on at the Spillville this weekend. The Roman Lansing was the man that joined us, and talked a little serious stuff this morning as well. The housing study going on in Waukon. Got the details of that with Gary Boden, the city manager. Don't forget, each and every week we put these shows on YouTube. We realize you're busy. You can't always be near a radio or a streaming device at 9 o'clock on a Thursday morning. We want to bring these interesting people to you on your schedule. If you're out gallivanting on YouTube, go to 83 Our Town program. That's a great way to search it on YouTube, and we also put the links up on all of the LA Communications Facebook pages as well. Another way we try to connect best to you here at LA Communications. Thank you to our guest. Thank you to our sponsor, Decorah Bank and Trust. And most importantly, we thank you, that's right, you, for tuning in, for logging on, or for watching Our Town on 94.9 and 99.1 The River.